It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So I actually did watch some sports yesterday.
Oh, what'd you watch?
I watched Caitlin Clark break Pete Maravich's record.
All right. The all-time record.
The all-time record, right.
Yeah.
And I just been paying a little bit of attention to that, and I'm telling you, forget about politics. Sports is where they have the most useless arguments.
Yeah.
It started a long time ago. Who's better, Tiger Woods or Jack Nicklaus? Oh, good. Let's debate a question nobody will ever be able to answer.
Right.
And then get really angry about it. Where's Stephen A. Smith? Get him angry on it.
Yeah.
Can't answer the question. Two different. We spend who is best, who is best, who is best, who is the best ever. Who cares? Enjoy the sporting event. Right. I want my team to win a Super Bowl and a Stanley Cup. I could care less about the individual records. You know who cares about individual records? People who support teams that can't win the championship.
Ah, yes. At least you focus on something else.
Yeah, you focus on something else all the time. But
it's not all about winning. Yeah, it is. No, it's not. Uh-huh.
And the Caitlin Clark thing, I mean, it just got to the point of, well, you know something, but this woman scored this amount of points, and they didn't recognize it back then. But then even before then, before you even had major college basketball it probably might have been minor college basketball, but this person even scored more points, and so she needs to be recognized. And so who is better? Is it Caitlin? I don't care. Here's what I got out of the game yesterday in watching 3 different Iowa games. All right. And 2 they won, 1 they lost.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great player.
Yeah. She
and her team get very sloppy at times. They're rated number 6 in the country. They play sloppy at times. And it was funny because I said that, and Caitlin, it's like, boy, if I say that publicly, people will get angry. She said it at they interviewed Caitlin Clark at halftime. She goes, "Yeah, we got sloppy. We got to we can't be doing what we were doing." And I'm like, okay, but they played sloppy.
Yeah,
I've seen them play sloppy a couple of times, which I think they could be a better team. I think they could be the number 1 ranked team in the country.
Well, then she went on to say, by we, I don't mean me. I mean the others.
No, she said I threw some, she even said she threw some bad passes, and she did throw some bad passes.
Yeah.
They were trying to force the ball. But I just love it, and I understand all of the stuff out there. First off, you can't compare men to women, and Maravich only played 3 seasons. And the thing is, nobody's ever going to come close to Maravich's record per season. Without a 3, and Maravich didn't play with the 3-point line, but it's the passion of it. It's like, yeah, Maravich. But you look at Pistol Pete, he scored 40 for his college career, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
No 3-point line, 44 points a game.
On the average, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Now remember,
crazy.
Wilt Chamberlain in one season. This is how big and dominant he was. And you can't say the same for Maravich. I mean, Maravich was more of an outside guy than an inside center who just dwarfed everybody else. Yeah. But still the domination that Wilt had. And there were some decent players that played against him. In 1 year, his average point per game was 50. He scored 50 points a game. And at that time, too, no 3-point line.
Wow.
But Maravich is the one, because I did see that they said if there was somebody figured out every shot that Maravich ever took, and if there was a 3-point line, and it was like 54 points a game he would have averaged if there was for a 3-year period of college basketball.
Wow.
And you can make the case, though. You can always make the case, well, the competition that he was playing against in his league at that time wasn't as good as it was today. What is? Athletes are better trained today. athletes,
Right, sure.
there's so much difference. And in golf, the equipment's completely different. Let's be honest. When I first got my first set of golf clubs, which had to be probably in the late 60s, you might as well just taken a wooden stick and given it to me compared to the golf clubs today and the engineering behind them. And so we waste too much time as a nation trying to figure out who's the GOAT. Who's the GOAT? I don't care.
Yeah, look.
And for those who don't know, greatest of all time, GOAT.
Yeah, for those over the age of 90, GOAT means greatest of all time. It's it's one of those things that people get obsessed about, and I wonder what are some of the other things in their life that either they get as obsessed about or don't care about because they're obsessed about this.
I know.
Over and over again, but I don't know. It's like, okay, congratulations.
Yeah,
and then you move on.
I mean, I enjoy. I like to keep in the present tense. That's why I analyze what's going on now.
Well, anybody who hits a record, okay, great. That's awesome. Good for you. And but they know, those athletes know. The next day you start at zero.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Next game starts at zero.
And my analysis was, by the way, when she gets hot from, oh my gosh, she'll take a 40-footer and hit it.
Yeah.
She didn't play her best yesterday and still had 35 points.
Right. Yeah.
And she admitted it. But I just look at it and I go, my analysis, somebody asked me before I said it here on the air, what do you think? And I said, I've seen 2 wins and a loss. And in every game, they had real sloppy portions of it that if they want to win a national championship, they got to clean that up right away. Mm-hmm. And they haven't in the 3 games that I've seen them play. Mm-hmm. And that's what you want in Iowa. You're looking for it's great to have the leading scorer of all time, but what people really want is a championship. When you talk about a team sport, you want the team victory. You want that championship.
Yeah. So, well, no, that's what that's the game. Yeah. If you're the best player on the worst team, it means nothing.
And that's what, actually, when you look at it, when Maravich became a pro, that's what he had. Mm-hmm. He became a pro. He was somebody who played on, teams that weren't great.
Right.
They didn't know where to put him. And it's always been said that if he was drafted by the Celtics, they would have won. Mm. Continued to win more championships than they did in the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, their real run was in the 60s with Bill Russell, but yeah. So, that's what it brought to me again was just this obsession with people have, who's the better player, and there's no way there's not an answer to it. The only way you can say it is if people play head to head. Then you can say it over a period of time.
Yep.
But we're obsessed with things that you're never going to have an answer for, so stop arguing it. Mm-hmm. By the way, Biden is better than Trump. Discuss.
Well, no, I mean, it's who's the greatest president of all time?
Oh, yes, that was it when that came out. Yeah. Oh, did we discuss that? I don't think we got a time. We didn't even discuss that.
Well, which time?
Well, it just came out about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, again.
And I think Biden beat Reagan.
Of course he did. In the Axios poll, here's why it matters.
Those presidential historians, it's like, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
It was not.
Right. Presidential historians before legalization, presidential historians after
legalization.
Biden's totally better than Reagan. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
That was
so much better.
That was from the so-called presidential historians, which lately tend to be history revisionists.
Well, are they all toddlers because they've only been alive since Biden has been president? Because otherwise, I beg to differ. Yeah, it's just insane.
But yeah, it was she is fun to watch, though, that Caitlin Clark. She's fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh, Man, round ball's so much fun in March.
Yeah. I will say this, that she's one of the few players, because she makes them, that can get away with taking 40-footers. Because every coach, I guarantee every coach is like, is she shooting that too quickly from 40 feet?
Right.
Because not even the NBA players are shooting from 40 feet.
Right.
The one where she broke the record, So one time they took the ball out. It was just on this side of half court. They gave it to her. She turned around and shot and made it. I mean, it had to be a 45-foot shot.
Wow.
It's like, okay. It's like, let's put it this way. If you say she lacks in confidence, that could be a vicious, debatable point if I truly meant that. Because she doesn't lack any confidence at all to shoot the ball. And you see a lot of players who, be hesitant to shoot the ball. Not her.
Right.
You give her the ball, she's going to shoot it.
Yeah.
And I think I heard her explain it one time. She goes, well, if they don't have a hand in my face and I'm 5 feet out further, I'm still going to hit it. So if they're going to defend me and I'm 5 feet closer, that shot's just as hard that if I'm open from 5 feet further out. Yeah, but you're getting to the end of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. You shot it from the parking lot.
She is great to watch. And her team around her, when they're on, they're on.
Yeah.
And she's got really some, they can win they beat Ohio State, so number 2. So they can win it all. But even yesterday, you could see, and I'm sure the coach sees it, there's a sloppiness that they get into once in a while, especially when a team's coming back a little bit. It's not a sense of panic. They just play sloppy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But they could win it. If they play their best, they can win it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. And that was said yesterday. Well, she's not the greatest of all time unless she wins the championship. Discuss.
Yeah, so then they win it. Oh, okay, well, maybe she's the greatest of all time. Well, that's the thing. Where's the balance? I mean, you can celebrate, you can enjoy someone celebrating or other people celebrating someone who did something. It's an accomplishment. Great. You don't have to go to the extreme. And you also don't have to go to the extreme of knocking her down.
Here's a question I have.
It is one or the other, it seems.
Here's a question I have to ask. Why are before every game, they show the fans like lined up for a mile trying to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that happening? Most NBA games sell out. Mm-hmm. Nobody's waiting in line for a mile. Are they general admission seats? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know.
So why are people waiting a mile away to get in to see her? If it sits 11,000, I go to whenever I've gone to games and 20,000 people will be there. You walk in, they got all the doors open. What, they open one door?
I don't know,
because the camera's like, look at this, all these people there. I'm like, well, you got hundreds of games that sell out,
right?
In every type of sport. Why is there a huge line for this game? Do they say, oh, it's only a women's game, we're only going to open one door?
Right. And only
is it misogyny?
For a few minutes at a time.
A few minutes at a time.
Or we closed the door because we didn't think anyone would be interested. So they're all outside in line.
That's the question I've had from watching the three games when they show all the people lined up around the block. Why?
Right.
Do people just get there early to sit out in the cold? Because so many of the games are up north.
Or is it that it's just such an acute situation that the interest just spiked because they want to be there for that game of when she hits the record?
Nah, because she's been there. They've been selling out for a while wherever she goes. She's that good. I don't know. 866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Coming up later this month,
I will have a trilateral meeting with the ministers from Canada and the secretary from Mexico, likely in Colorado.
Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack with the announcement Friday at Commodity Classic in Houston. He notes the importance of discussing and potentially resolving trade issues between the U.S. and two of its largest ag export markets.
For me to continue to raise the concern we have in Mexico in their approach to biotechnology in terms of corn, and for me to also raise the need for Canada to continue to look for ways in which their dairy market can be more open to it.
He added that recent cases on such issues before U.S. Mexico-Canada Agreement Dispute Settlement panels are part of enforcement efforts regarding trade matters, among an overall strategy to increase U.S. farm and food exports.
Reducing barriers, focusing on individual trade barriers that exist in countries around the world to our products.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, with Super Tuesday tomorrow, it looks like the Supreme Court will have a decision on Trump and Colorado. The whole thing of Colorado trying to kick him off the ballot,
And a number of the other cases really hinge on this decision.
Yeah. Well, this is a pretty easy decision.
Yeah.
It was. I think you could be just a layperson.
Yep.
That doesn't know much about the Constitution or law, and you just read it and you go, well, this doesn't apply.
Nope. It doesn't apply for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Congress didn't take the action here, and there was no conviction of the former president.
There's no charging.
No charges, and just basically a judge, or now a handful of judges saying, yep, insurrection. And it's based on nothing. If you can grasp, or if you can reach out and grab something out of thin air like this and apply it politically, then look out. Forget it. It would just be endless if the Supreme Court were to uphold this and say, yep, they can do this. All bets are off. Because then any president who was overturned by the Supreme Court on an executive action, in fact, recess appointments, Obama, 9-0. 9-0. Oh, sorry. That was unconstitutional.
Right.
He's off the ballot.
If you had a president that was charged with insurrection, the Insurrection Act,
Right.
and convicted, still the state of Colorado can't do anything.
Right.
Because it's up to Congress, not the states.
Mm-hmm.
But as you pointed out, no charge of insurrection
Nope.
for anybody.
Nope.
It's not just anyone.
Right.
No charge, no conviction.
Right.
And that would mean that you don't need an insurrection. The state can just make their own decision.
Yep.
So as we pointed out before, everything that Biden executive orders, all the different executive orders overturned, the rent,
Mm-hmm.
the eviction, the eviction notices.
Yeah, eviction moratorium.
Eviction moratorium. Made that up out of thin air. Never had the authority to do it. It was unconstitutional. The vaccine mandate, unconstitutional, as we know. Well, then you could make the case of a state that since he defied the Constitution, because insurrection is
college loans.
Yeah, college loans. It's not about insurrection anymore. It's are you following the law?
Right.
If you're not doing what you're supposed to do in your branch of government, if you vary from it in any way, a state can say, we're taking you off the ballot.
Yep.
A judge can say, not even the state, because it's not up for a vote.
Yeah, just one person.
One judge could. I don't see any way they're going to uphold that at all.
No.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Oh! I forgot that
What?
By the time we got to today, I was sometime over the weekend, I believe, you saw the Politico reporter apologized for her definition of Christian nationalist.
Yeah.
If you believe rights came from God and not from man or the Supreme Court, you're a Christian nationalist. It was like, no, the thing is, her apology, I don't take. You know why? She's not saying, if she says what I said, I misspoke or I was wrong, she's lying. That's what she thought. That's what she thinks. So the apology doesn't matter.
What they say the first time, that was a very deliberate thought.
And twice.
Yeah.
Because she also tweeted it out, too. Mm-hmm. It was a very deliberate thought. That's her opinion. But the heat was like, you need to shut up.
Yeah.
Because you can find probably the vast majority of Democrats that talk about rights come from God. Now, there's a difference in the rights that they believe came from God. For example, if you're a Democrat trying to say that the right to abortion comes from God, you're probably going to get some pushback on that one.
I'm guessing just a little.
I mean, I've seen Democrats try it.
They've tried it.
They've tried it. They've tried to use, God would favor abortion.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, really? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's have that discuss. That may be better than who is the GOAT of all time in sports.
Oh, that's the discussion I want to hear. Yeah.
But I think one of the interesting things that came out of this weekend, and we have talked about how the mainstream media isn't buying into what Democrats or even Biden is doing anymore, but they are now coming close finally to recognizing the truth on many issues. Yep. For example, this is our we played this audio cut earlier, audio cut of the day, whatever you wish to call it. I just think it's interesting because it shows how the mainstream media is why they're evolving, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But this is where Democratic Senator Chris Murphy was on this week. And listen to this back and forth. And again, listen to what the moderator says.
Why did it take so long for the president to address this crisis at the border in terms of the flow of migrants?
Well, I don't know that that's fair. In the first week that the president was in office, he sent to Congress a comprehensive immigration and border reform bill.
But wait a minute. That bill was to provide a path to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented citizens, residents here in the country. It was not a border security bill. It was an immigration bill.
No, it was also an asylum reform bill, right? And reforming the asylum system.
It didn't tighten the asylum rules the way.
Listen to him argue.
Yeah.
You didn't have that even 2 weeks ago on the border.
No.
You didn't have that.
No. Well, and why the big change? Well, the big change because all the blue cities right now are being overrun. These reporters, these liberal reporters, live in these blue cities. This is where they live. They live in New York. They live in Chicago and L.A. And their cities are being overrun. So they're not happy at all with this. At all. And the Biden administration's, here's the other thing, too. The Biden administration from day one refuses to give them their talking points. This is unlike any other liberal administration. They show up in the White House media room waiting to be catered to. Hey, we're here to carry your water. Just give us some water. And they won't do it. So now, the cities where these liberal reporters live and work are being overrun. They're not being given anything except for defiance from the very defiant Joe Biden and his administration and staff. No answers whatsoever.
Final arguments were made in the Fani Willis case last Friday. I watched some of it. It's tough to watch all of it because it goes on for so long.
Yeah.
But the judge says within the next 2 weeks, he will make a decision on it. I cannot, by the judge's own definition, and this is very important. We had talked about this earlier, but I think it's worth mentioning again. By the definition of what disqualifies you from the judge, it's not just a conflict of interest, it is a perception of a conflict of interest. There's no way you can let this thing go.
No, there isn't.
There's no way you can let this, because the conflicts of interest, and I just love the way that they were saying, because what really came up was the number of cell phone pings, GPS, whatever, of the cell phone, in her apartment or at her place, right?
Yeah.
At 3 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
Well, they came out and said, well, you don't know if that's accurate. It could be off by 1,000 feet. It might be, and a lot of these pings or a lot of this doesn't tell you exactly where they are. It may tell you within a 10-meter thing, but if it's 10 meter, then he's not in the apartment. He's outside of the apartment.
You're working really hard. Yeah, because that's creepy that he would be right outside her apartment that many times.
And so I thought that was interesting. And then I think it was Dershowitz who said over the weekend, he said that's probably a pretty dumb argument. He said, because people are in jail today for life based only on where your cell phone was.
Right.
If they could track your cell phone to a particular area that might be, it's not within 1 foot, because you can make the case, is it within 1 foot? Can you prove it's within 1 foot? And that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for that ties up all the other evidence, but that can be the final determination where your cell phone is based on other evidence why you're convicted.
Mm-hmm.
But Dershowitz said, I've seen people convicted just on cell phone evidence alone. So legally, his point was that probably isn't going to fly. I just don't see it, because when the judge said part of the disqualification is the perception, not just the actual conflict of interest, but the perception of a conflict of interest, there's no way you can't make that case in this case.
Right. Yeah, it's, and I think that's, what it comes down to is the fact that the evidence is so strong, and you don't even need the evidence. It's just overwhelming. Now, they said, in the next 2 weeks we'll get the decision? And I'm wondering, is it going to take that long? It said sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, he said within. So
within.
I don't know.
They could happen sooner.
Yeah, could. And then we have what happened in Florida. Reading from the Wall Street Journal. A handful of states have been trying to extricate their public universities from the diversity, equity, and inclusion quagmire. Florida demonstrated on Friday how to do it the easy way. Just shut down the whole DEI bureaucracy.
No.
The University of Florida said it is dismissing all DEI staff, closing its DEI office, and halting DEI contracts with outside vendors. The school also announced the laid-off staff would get 12 weeks of severance, and that the $5 million saved from the cost of DEI would go to a faculty recruitment fund. That's a wrap, folks. That's what they wrote in the Wall Street. The dismissals are intended to bring the university into compliance with the 2023 Florida Board of Governors regulation that says state universities cannot expend any state or federal funds to advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The University of Florida's approach is notable because it comes without the backdoor attempts to continue DEI programs under other names.
Yeah, of course.
Ooh,
yeah.
Yep. In an administration memo, the school said that those whose jobs are eliminated are allowed and encouraged to apply for expedited consideration for different positions currently posted with the universities. For example, now, the new MAGA recruitment fund at all universities in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm making that one up.
Yeah.
That's a good message. University takes care of its people as long as they're ready to do work the school needs for academic success. It's encouraging to see a major university get back to its core mission of educating young people in math, physics, and engineering, literature, and the arts. A special cheer for the end of diversity contractors, the recently growing army of consultants for hire who have created an industry instructing university and companies in the politicized language of identity politics, racial affinity groups, and how to impose hiring quotas without calling them quotas. Look, DEI, call it whatever you want. As we know, Democrats have learned. I think it started really with Antifa.
Yeah.
Democrats learned from Antifa.
Right.
Oh, all right. Antifa. What does that mean? Well, as you and I, because you and I saw the name way before anybody else was talking about it and went, wow, Antifa, right? Mm-hmm. So we thought it was because anti-fascist. Mm-hmm. And it was like one day, guys, you're saying it. This is like a year after we've been saying it. You guys said it wrong. I heard it's Antifa. What? What are you talking about? It's Antifa. Nobody else is talking about it but us. We created the pronunciation for Antifa or for Antifa.
Yeah.
And we said once they realize, let's label things the opposite of what they are, because diversity, equity, and inclusion is about racism.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's about.
Right.
It's about it's identity politics. It's judging people by groups and not as individuals.
Yep.
End of story.
And, I don't know. It just seems like right now everything is caught up in the language of things. And this is what the left has been doing all along. Start changing the language, and we can just write our own language.
Well, that was
DEI, break it up, and then we'll just break it up and call it something else.
Well, that was the whole debate going on with, with Elon Musk and Mark Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Mark Cuban's arguing something completely different than what actually exists.
Right.
Don't get involved in it. He's not even even talking about what the issue is.
Well, they often go down that language trail, and it's like you're not getting down to the issue.
It's like if you sit there and if you say, well, I belong to an anti-racism group. Well, why would you be object to an anti-racism group? Because that's what they call it, but it's actually a racist group.
Exactly.
That's why.
Right.
Well, I don't think anything's wrong with anti-racism. Neither do I.
Uh-huh.
So you should be doubly upset if you're against racism that somebody who's promoting racism calls himself an anti-racist group and suckers you into playing that language and definition game along with them.
Right. It's and they know they have to keep running around in circles because every time they get caught, they change the definition of anything and they move on. And so they keep running around. It's like dealing with children.
It really is.
It is.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You see, they discovered helium in Minnesota. Huge supplies of helium, apparently, and
They've never had balloons?
And well, apparently we've been running out of helium.
Yeah, okay.
We've been getting low here in the United States.
Yeah, I saw that somewhere. Yeah.
A potential helium reservoir was discovered in Minnesota last week after drillers bored deep beneath the forest floor in the state's Iron Range. As supplies of helium dwindle in the United States, Pulsar Helium, a Canadian-based company, announced in a news release on Thursday that its team encountered gases with concentrations of up to 12.4% helium when its drilling rig reached a total depth of 2,200 feet at a drill site. Helium concentrations above 0.3% are considered economically viable. The president of Pulsar said he is delighted about the outstanding result. It's a big day for helium exploration, confirming the original discovery in a new jurisdiction in Minnesota. I look forward to keeping the market updated with further results as they are received. So,
all right. Well,
good news.
Yeah.
Helium, natural gas,
right?
Oil.
Mm-hmm.
The House voting overwhelmingly to be able to fast track nuclear power plants. Only 36 Democrats voting against it. Reality, the best thing against liberals right now and liberal ideas is reality.
Right. And by fast track, we mean fast track to a NIMBY defeat?
Yes.
Get it all the way to the local level. Okay, who wants one? Yeah, I got to go.
But at least there's a my point was a realization in Congress.
Officially.
You can't do it in solar and wind.
Exactly.
Even for most Democrats.
And maybe, just maybe, over the years, NIMBY will change. We'll see.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.